It happens to all of us at the best of times. We go out in the bush, forget to put the antenna down, snap it off on a branch. I've done that again. So today I'm going to be going through replacing the antenna. There's a few little tricks that I've done inside. I'll talk about them in a bit. Just going to replace it with a universal one, and let's get into it. So at some point we're going to need access down in through here. You can take the whole guard off to do this, but I cheat a little bit and just reach around with my arm. It tends to be a bit quicker. So you're going to use a shifter or a pair of pliers or something, and you want to undo this top nut. Then this rubber will come off. That enables it to move around in there. There's this little bit there, that'll just pop in and out. You can see that pops there. And the antenna will slide down inside your mudguard. I'm going to move you inside. Okay, so I'm going to be working down here in this little hole now. Now I take my watch off when I'm doing this because it means that I can get my hand down in there a lot easier. You don't want to remove this thing. You can unbolt it if you don't want to stab your hand. Now you got to get down in here like that and up on the back end there to be able to just wobble that around. Make sure your antenna is down. Now what I just did in there, because my antenna wasn't down, is I folded the antenna over so that I can pull it out. It comes out just like that. Now we've still got the rubber here. So we've got to get that out. And that just pops through the top, pulls like that. It's just a bit of a wiggle jiggle to pull it out. Now the new one I'm putting in is slightly different to this one, but that's okay. So we'll put the new one in and then we'll track the wire through. So at the moment I'm just going to leave that one hanging there out of the way. We're going to take our new antenna. Now we unscrew the top nut because it's a universal one. It looks slightly different, but that's okay, it will still work. So we unscrew our top nut, put that somewhere safe. We take off our cap, the chrome cap, put that somewhere safe. And we take off our rubber because that's going to go on the top so that it looks pretty. Now we're going to have to be careful putting that bit up in there that we don't lose it. We want to untie that cord before we put it in because we're going to need that to go through into the car. So slide it down, make sure you don't lose that bit. I'm going to put that up a little bit. And then you can just work your hand, work it around in your hand. It's a little bit fiddly, not taking the guard off, but it is doable. And you'll pop it up and you can grab the tip of the antenna. Once you've got the tip of the antenna, you can pull that up. Okay, so we're bringing the tip of the antenna up through the hole, and I'm going to extend that so that I just don't lose it. So I can let that go now, and it's going to sit. I'm not going to lose it down in the hole. This is where we put this one back on. Now, as we put it back on, we want to line up that little metal bit with the edges of the panel work there, so that that will sit down there, and it will sit in, and it will look nice and neat. Now, depending on which... And that was not supposed to come out the top there like that. I pulled it too far. Be careful that you don't do that. I've now dropped the little clamp on the inside. I've got to go digging for it. Okay, so if you did just do what I did, don't worry. In the bottom of your mudguard, there is a hole just behind the mud flap that you can reach your hand in and pull anything out you've dropped. I have done this before. And as you can see, not everything goes according to plan. So we'll push that back down a little bit. So what we're going to do now, and this is only if you've dropped it, is we're going to have to push that back down in the hole there and get our little plate. Actually, we might be able to put it in just like that. That's probably a bit easier. Now, some of them you can't do that, some of the universal ones. This one obviously you can, as I just found out. You can actually put that in from the top. So this whole unit, it can actually go in from the top. Usually the genuine Toyota ones can't. So get that lined up, and the little teeth sitting on it are your clamps. So you want them to clamp into the right place on your car. Then your rubber goes over the top, and you want to line up the little lug on the bottom with where you want it to clamp and how you want it to sit. Now, the little chrome piece that I said to put in a safe place goes on next. And again, line that up so that it kind of looks pretty on your car. Last of all, your nut. Now the nut, because it's universal, was different to the nut that I took off. And that just screws on like that. It's quite different to the genuine Toyota nut. It's a skinny nut. That's not a problem. That will work fine. So what we want to do is, as we're screwing it up, just line it all up so that it covers up your hole. And it sits and everything lines up, and you screw it up just like that. Now I've got that slightly off center. It's leaning out of the car, so I'm going to pull that all off again and change the angle that my little clamping nut sits at. After doing this with the universal one, I think next time I'm going to buy the Toyota one again, because the antenna leans slightly out and I don't like it. So I'm sure I will break this off again at some point. So now we've done that, we've got to get the wires through and into the car. Now before I keep going, I know somebody's going to say something about this. It's my diff breather kit that I've knocked up just so that it's a bit higher. It's not a proper diff breather kit, but it works. So we've got our wire coming out, which means we can hook this back on. And one of these days I might put a proper diff breather kit in this thing. So what we're going to do is I'm going to get some cutters and we're going to cut this wire here so that the new wire, our new antenna wire, can go through the firewall where the old wire was. Okay, so make sure you've got the right one. I'm cutting it nice and close to this one. Last time I wrapped this in electrical tape because I thought it was causing interference with my radio. It didn't do a thing, so I wouldn't bother doing that again. What we do now is go inside and we're going to pull loose wire through. Now if you really want to be tricky, you can try and tape the two together so it pulls through. I'm not going to bother, I'm just going to pull it through from the inside. I'll give it a bit of a push here so I know I've got the right wire in there. Actually that's just going to go all the way through. And send that one through behind it. Sometimes you do have to pull them from the inside, but this time it worked quite easily. It does have a little rubber seal thing there that, as my hole's a bit loose there, if I go into water I'm going to use the rubber to push into this other rubber hole like that, and just to help it seal a bit there. Now we're going to go inside. So where you're working now is down under your glove box, up in under there. That's where the wire's going to come through. Now I've put in an extension, and I would recommend getting one of these that comes from your radio. It plugs into the back of your radio and runs down, and I've got the end dangling here. It's only a 30cm extension, and the end is in the back of my glove box somewhere. We'll find that in a minute. If you don't have this extension in and you're doing it for the first time, you're going to have to pull your dash apart and take the radio out so that you can get to the back of the radio to plug it in. Now the cord that comes with the units is just tight enough to get to the back of the radio. So I put the little extension in. That means that when I break my antenna off up the bush, it is a lot easier to get it back. Okay, so that's the loose end of the wire that we cut. Up here underneath somewhere should be nice and easy our new wire that's come through. So I'm going to pull the glove box out, and I'm just going to cheat because I'm just going to drop it down. I'm going to lose everything out of it. And then here you can see the extension that I was talking about. So it will just plug in. As I mentioned before, if you haven't put this extension in, you've got to get to the back of your radio, and that's a little bit annoying. So just unwind this other one, take it out, see, cut end, we'll get rid of that. Now my new wire, I'll bring it up, and I don't want it tangling, so I'm going to come around behind a few things and plug that in. So it's just an extension with a plug at one end and a plug at the other end, kind of like an extension cord. I recommend getting them on eBay. They're dirt cheap, not really expensive. It makes doing this job a lot easier if you keep breaking your antenna off. And that's my antenna installed. Now, what I'm going to do next time is I'm going to get the genuine Toyota, well, a Toyota antenna, and not use a universal one, because the antenna's universal one's leaning out slightly from the car and I don't like the look of it, but it's going to get me radio signal for now until I break this one. Guys, check out my other videos on YouTube. Hope you liked this one. If you did, please subscribe, please click the thumbs up, and check out my other videos. Have fun 4-wheel driving.